Good evening, everyone, and welcome tonight. Day number 246. Really, really big day in this war. And this big day is not so much about the battles and what is happening on the front. As we know, battles rage constantly on the front line. Janie and I are constantly trying to remind the community that it's always raging. Shelling is always happening. Battles are always happening. But there are major events in addition to those that happen day to day as well. And today, big event. Putin has been talking for 3.5 hours. Our translation team, Vladimir Zelensky, was helping me earlier. Yes, that's his name. And I said, I need that clip. I need that clip. I need that clip. He goes, Greg, he's still talking. I said, okay, I need that clip. He's still talking. And 3.5 hours later, he finished talking. We're going to review that tonight with Zhenya. We've chosen 7 or 8 clips out of that. Didn't feel that you would want to watch 3.5 hours of that. But we'll get to that in just a moment, plus a couple of other key topics tonight. So, as always, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. Thank you to our moderators, keeping the community safe in the chat. Make sure you're chatting, saying hello, where you're from, all those things. Much appreciated. And with that said, let's jump right to it. Let me get the man in here. Good morning, sir.
Oh, good evening.
Been a tough day on you.
Yeah, a little bit, but it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I received a video a little while ago from Beskarvanya. So, folks, if you want to know what Khmelnytsky has looked like a lot today and this evening, here you go. This is out of my bedroom window in Khmelnytsky. Those are car lights. You should see buildings lit up everywhere. That whole panorama should be all buildings lit up. And, of course, been a little dark today. So internet been down?
Internet, electricity. What to add?
Well, what to add is this.
Charming, and it's on a big territory, let's say.
Well, that's what I wanted to say. And we're going to spend most of our time getting some evaluation on Putin's remarks today. But Ukrenergo came out today and just reiterated that the power issues are critical. In their release today, they talk specifically about regions such as Kyiv, Chernihiv, Cherkasy, Zhytomyr, Odessa, Khmelnytsky, Ternopil, that they're going to have some issues. Odessa, they said, could be without power rolling some sections up to 8 hours at a time and then try to get it back on for a few hours. In fact, let me do this about the power. Zelensky just released this just now. Check this out.
Добрий вечір. Бажаю здоров'я. Звернення моє буде трішки пізніше, бо робочий день ще не закінчився. Просто хотів на кілька секунд підтримати вас. Непростий день б'ють варвари по нашій енергетиці, але я впевнений, ми пройдемо цю темряву. Мужньо, гідно. Головне зберегти світло в своєму серці і у кожного.
You know, just a great statement there. A couple of reasons for that, in my opinion. And he just said it, was A, Putin's madness for 3.5 hours today. B, we are struggling with power today. But C, he says, just hang on. We may have to endure the darkness a little while, but we're going to be brave. We're going to work with dignity. And most importantly, we're going to let the light in our hearts shine. I think that's even that 20-second clip from Zelensky's much more powerful than anything Vladimir Putin said today in 3.5 hours.
I would add just the fact, feedback. There is a chats for the district chats in the city, and even the big houses chats like 9, 16 floors. house and there is a local chat. So before, when we had, I mean, electricity off, there were a lot of unhappy people, let's say, I mean, disagree, like, hey, and at this moment, I mean, these days, something like that happens. They said, okay, we will stay strong and trust our guys, all our guys, and the military and guys who work with electricity for restoration, and our president and they just encouraging each other. I mean, no disagreements, no arguing, nothing like that. Just okay, hey guys, stay strong. That's it. And
That's
I believe
wonderful.
the whole.
Well, and that's the Ukraine we know. Of course, at the beginning, it's going to be, hold on, this is uncomfortable. Why is our power off? But now people are realizing, okay, we've got to pull together. We've got to sacrifice so that we can win this war. So, yeah, kudos to the Ukrainian citizens there that are sitting in darkness, but as Zelensky said, have the light in their heart, and we'll do it with dignity. So very, very thankful for them. Now, a couple of other things. Just want to update folks on stories we've been talking about and following. The next one would be this one right here. Today, Ukraine sent out information confirming the presence of Iranian trainers, meaning soldiers, for the drones, not just in Crimea and Belarus and Russia, but now they're in the Kherson region. So they're all over Crimea there. They're up into Kherson, and this is the place south of Kherson and west of Kherson where it appears that Russia is reinforcing for something there. This is going to be a battle, Kherson.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I think it will be much more wide than we expect. Much more forces will be involved from both sides, and in the principal battle.
We've had small battles. I mean, it's a big war, but we've had small battles, but we haven't had those battles yet that are like over an entire city of Kherson. Kherson was taken very early when Ukraine was really not prepared, did not have enough supplies to defend Kherson. They had to back up quickly, but now they're prepared to take it. So we're expecting a battle. Early on, Ukraine was doing so much to defend Kyiv because Kyiv was being assaulted. Now, with that said, we could have some strategy unfolding because I do believe there's going to be a big battle in Kherson. We're seeing it. Ukraine itself is saying, listen, they're rolling in a lot of equipment. Just don't think they're going to leave. And what's interesting is a lot of the guys on YouTube and stuff, they just put it out that, the Russians are just running away from Kherson and they just want to get clicks and views. But the reality is there's going to be a big battle in Kherson. That's a fact. The other thing is today the general staff came out, and Jania, I know you really haven't seen any updates today. You've been out of touch due to the situation, but general staff, and this is actually Gromov, came out and said, listen, we know we've been talking about it and we keep talking about it, all the presence in the north on Belarus. But he came out today and says, listen, we're expecting an attack. Now, whether that's rhetoric, whether that's playing the game, the chess game, regardless, Ukraine has to be very focused. So if you're looking at the battles in the east, the battles in the south, Kherson, and now potentially in the north, we could really be spreading this war out on three fronts, as we've talked about many times.
Now it's my turn to ask a question to you. I have a question to you.
So, okay? So usually I'm asking questions and you're answering, but you're flipping it on me this time.
Yeah, sorry, one exception.
Okay, go for it.
So, what is ODKB? You remember?
What is ODKB? Yes, I do. ODKB is the Russian variant or competitor to the UN. It's their little group of nations.
Okay. The question, their agreement in case of threat of sovereignty one of the countries or attack on one of the members of their military union, let's say, the other are obligated to help with fight with aggressor. Is it
Okay.
right? Okay, so there is obligation, yes? In
There
case of
is.
threatening, in case of any country will be attacked. The question, Putin, if you remember, he was trying to involve other countries to his special operation. But all of them said no. The question about Belarusia, if Belarusia or Russia will use Belarusian army to attack Ukraine, do you remember the promise of our guys to
Absolutely.
answer? How
Yes.
strong?
It will be an unstoppable response to your nation.
Will it create the situation when the other country, the members of ODKB, will be obligated, they would not have a chance to ignore it, to involve in this war?
Okay, refresh my memory then. So we're talking ODKB is Russia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Armenia,
Kyrgyzstan,
Tajikistan,
Russia, Tajikistan.
Russia.
Yeah.
Is that a contractual thing on paper? I mean, they're obligated?
Yes.
Maybe.
So
maybe Putin wants Ukraine to attack Belarus.
The next question. As you know, probably some of this country are about, there were some ideas to leave ODKB.
Mm-hmm.
Because Russia is going crazy, yes?
Yes.
Like Armenia, for example.
Armenia
Then,
and maybe Kazakhstan.
The question, if those countries, which is still are in that agreement, will try to ignore Russia and Belarus to involve them because of the agreement and the contract. In the case of Ukraine, will will be answering from attack from Belarus, to attack from Belarus. What will happen with the relationship between Russia and those countries?
It'll be destroyed.
Maybe Russia will use it as a chance to control.
Correct. Russia will go after them.
This is so. You remember the Putin rhetorics all the time is about restoration of USSR.
That's what we're getting ready to hear in just a minute. Yes.
And in case if the country being in a contract, military contract, will ignore, Russia could take the leaders out with explaining that they just broke our agreement, and they can put on leaders in any of these countries.
Is that agreement between that ODKB that strong?
I mean, we may check. I mean, you can check, but there is a certain guarantees from all of them to each other.
Well, for sure, when you look at those nations, without Russia, there is no ODKB. I mean, they're just small nations. I mean, big geographically, but it's Russia trying to be an empire through that agreement.
Yes. I'm talking about the control over those countries and different ways which Russia can use. And with that, yes, the threat of using at least for the some time this involving Belarusian border, Belarusian forces, Belarusian army to attack in Ukraine and get at least any answer, just to use it in the future.
I would even take it as far as to say that Russia already has quite a bit of control in those countries.
So I believe that the threat of involving Belarusian army in that war, even Lukashenko and maybe some of their generals are not happy to help.
But this is a strategic play. When we look at the possibility of this invasion, it may be exactly what Russia wants. They want Ukraine to take out parts of Belarus and to respond strongly so that they can call on this agreement. It's very, very interesting, especially in light of what Putin said today. There's no question he's trying to rebuild the Soviet Union. No question.
Yeah, and I think I just, I read a review, the short, like just the quotes of his speech. A lot of things is around of the West, of the fault of the West, the absence of the unity of the West, and of the West. He's unhappy. He's trying to build relationship, by his plan, but not by the plan. By the plan of what really Western country has. He wanted to build this kind of situation that he could trade, and negotiate what to do with Ukraine. And in this speech, he said, okay, Russia created Ukraine.
And Russia will provide the security for what we created.
He said, something like this, that Ukraine can be independent and sovereign country only with overseeing by Russia.
Well, here is an image today, 3.5 hours. He had an interview section, and then he had a long speech, and he just talked and talked and talked. So I have 6, 7 of those clips. I'm going to play them for the community now. They're translated. Big thanks to Zolik for getting that done. And we won't take long for this because it'll speak for itself. A lot of the world will not get to hear all of this. You may see one little clip on your news that you prefer to watch on your television or check on your phone, but we've chosen 6, 7 clips here. I'm going to play the clip. Zhenya, of course, will understand the Russian. The subtitles are there for the community to watch. And then Jacob will get a response from you. Okay? So here it is. We'll start with this one right here. I think this is when he was being interviewed.
Эта логика была сформирована не нами. В 2014 году. Зачем надо было проводить на Украине госпереворот? Янукович фактически отказался от власти. Согласился провести выборы досрочно. Ясно было, что шансов, Виктор Федорович на меня не обидится, но у него было мало шансов, если они вообще были. И зачем надо было в этих условиях проводить кровавый антигосударственный, антиконституционный переворот?
So we start with the coup in 2014 in Yanukovych.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's completely changed the vector where Ukraine starting to go. And he was expecting with having in Ukraine pro-Russian president, then he will change everything. This pro-Russian president gave, and he prolonged, he continued the renting and let's say, not just renting, but allowing Russian forces to stay in Crimea for 25 more years. This is how Russian forces got to Crimea in the beginning, and because they were there, so they just
what
used
many
that
people
connection.
many people may not even know
Yep.
the name Yanukovych, but he was the president during that time, and he was a bad guy. And now Putin, of course, praising him. Yanukovych was there. Yanukovych was doing everything right. And those Ukrainians just did a coup against him. That's what he was saying. It's madness.
Yeah, it was absolutely pro-Russian leader from Donetsk, and all of this. His the political party all the time were fighting for unifying. I mean, for building the new level relationship with Russia, and etc. etc. And it was the first ever in Ukraine the president who was prisoner in the past,
Correct. Let's go to
criminal
clip
in the
2.
past.
Let's go to clip 2.
Это означало, что мы должны что-то делать с Донбассом. Но люди 8 лет под обстрелами живут, которые, кстати, продолжаются до сих пор. Но мы должны были что-то для себя решить. А что мы могли решить? Признать их независимость. Но признать их независимость и бросить просто на произвол судьбы, ну, это вообще неприемлемо. Значит, должны были бы сделать следующее, что мы и сделали. Включить их в состав российского государства. Они одни не выживут. Это очевидный факт. Но если мы признаем, значит, включаем в состав российского государства, по их воле, мы же знаем настроение людей, эти самые обстрелы и готовящиеся очередные военные операции со стороны киевского режима продолжаются и неизбежны, они же две провели. Две крупномасштабные военные операции, которые закончились безуспешно, но они же были, а обстрелы бы, безусловно, продолжались. Дальше мы что должны были делать? Проводить операции. Ну чего ждать, пока они начнут? И мы знаем о том, что они готовятся. Ну, конечно, это просто неизбежная логика событий.
Yeah. Okay, it's like he says, we couldn't avoid. This is the only scenarios we could act. I mean, according to the thing, he starts in that block. He starts from surely because of that situation, Ukraine. I mean, they were like the revolution, this, and they moved the legal president out. And they broke everything he planned. And then he says this, okay, this DNR, LNR, like we call them banana republics, and which is like faking republics. And he starts like this, okay, surely they asked us to recognize their sovereignty. Yeah, we agreed with that. And then he emphasizing the second part. We couldn't leave them because otherwise they will be smashed, blah, 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 blah. But hey, there is a laws in the world.
We know their
International laws.
mood. We know their mood. We know what they're feeling.
Yes.
Ukraine is shelling them nonstop. Ukraine has done 2 wars against them already and lost. It's madness.
It's madness because just that start, the first couple seconds, they asked us to recognize their sovereignty. Who's them?
Exactly.
Were there 100% of people living there? Or they already moved? The people who were for their freedom, for the democracy in that area, they had to leave because Russian forces occupied that territory. So all normal people had to leave because there were no elections, there were no referendum. It was taken, and people who was seeing it, they had to leave. Then he says, "Oh yes, sure. Some pro-Russian people plus they, all of these bulletins, it taken. Were
It's my
there
turn
any
to ask you a
international
question now.
observers?"
My
Yes.
turn to ask you a question. Who's killing civilians
Yes.
and leaving them in the streets? The invaders.
pictures in the Bucha, Gostomel, Borodyanka,
Correct. Izum. Who's doing that?
Izum.
Exactly. That's all I need to
Russia.
know.
It's the Putin, his generals, and then the simple Russian soldiers, peacemakers,
Peacemakers, liberators.
liberators.
Let's go to clip 3.
Власть над миром это вот как раз то, что этот так называемый Запад поставил на кон в своей игре. Но игра эта, безусловно, опасная, кровавая и, я бы сказал, грязная. Она отрицает суверенитет стран и народов, их самобытность и уникальность, не ставит ни во что интересы других государств. Исчезновение творческого потенциала самого Запада. Вы знаете, я всегда верил и верю в эту силу здравого смысла, потому убежден, рано или поздно и новым центрам многополярного мироустройства, и Западу придется начать равноправный разговор об общем для нас будущем. Вместе с тем упрощение, стирание всех и всяких различий стали чуть ли не сущностью современного Запада. Что стоит за таким упрощением? Прежде всего, это исчезновение творческого потенциала самого Запада и стремление сдержать, блокировать свободное развитие других цивилизаций. Приведу цитату из знаменитой гарвардской речи Александра Александровича Солженицына. Еще в 1978 году он отмечал, что для Запада характерно, дальше цитата, «длящееся ослепление превосходства». Вот это все и происходит до сих пор. Которое, и дальше цитата, «поддерживает представление, что всем обширным областям на нашей планете следует развиваться и доразвиться до нынешних западных систем». 1978 год. Да ничего не поменялось.
Feel like I'm watching a church service. This guy taking notes on his iPad, then the other guy going, "Are you kidding me?"
Okay, who is the visitors of this conference? Valdai. A lot of people from different places of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And he is just pouring out his, this dirty lie about blaming the West in what? Whose tanks were killing, our people on Ukrainian land? What border? Was it Polish border? Romanian border? Moldavian border? No, Russian border between Russia and Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
Or you, and then the Russian tanks and the Russian soldiers were killing people and doing the referendums, the fake referendums. The question is, what about the West? I would say the West, it's a challenge to show up the power of the West. If there is no hope for sound mind fixing situation, then the most sound-minded and more logical is to help the West to bring our borders back. Ukrainian borders back. Doesn't matter what kind of forces involved. Just bring Ukrainian international recognized 1991 year to bring Ukrainian borderline back with no comments. Not Russian borders, not Russian territory, Ukrainian territory.
You have to understand something. And I've watched a lot of his 3.5 hours. His concept is this: he doesn't care about Ukraine. Period. Ukraine is caught in the middle. It's caught in the middle between a war of ideologies between Putin and the Kremlin and the West. Putin is saying we have a right to be a dictatorship. We have a right to form our own government. And the Western mentality and governments that they try to influence on us is unacceptable. That's where the war is at right there. It is a clash of mentalities. It's a clash of light and darkness. And it's a clash of the last, 100 years of mentality there in the Kremlin versus not just one specific country, but just Western freedom and democracy. That's the battle. And unfortunately, Ukraine's caught in the middle.
I believe on the same level we need in this moment of the historical time, we need more Winston Churchills.
Man, I was going to ask you a question, not including Vladimir Zelensky, who does a really good job, but he's the president of the nation being attacked. Okay. Where is that next world leader? I don't see one.
I don't. Sorry.
I don't either.
I would like, but sorry, no.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a lot of like attitude. Oh, like we will support some in some years or in some month. Yeah, we did support. Yes, there is, and please understand me right. I'm thankful for everything, for every bandage, or the pound of food brought to Ukraine, for every refugee accommodated in their countries, in the Europe and Canada and United States, or what other any. But the answer should be equal, not less.
Correct.
And I believe to fix it, it should be more strong. The 8 months of destroying Ukraine, 8 months. It's not 8 days, not 8 weeks, 8 months. All the world, 21st century, watching. And I will pray for God will rise up His leaders in the world. His
Look at
answer.
a couple more statements. Can't say it any better. This one, little shorter statements now. Get your response.
Это ослепление, о котором говорил Солженицын, откровенно российское и неоколониальное по своему характеру, приобрело уже просто уродливые формы, особенно после того, как возник так называемый однополярный мир. Что хочу на это сказать? Уверенность в своей непогрешимости – это очень опасное состояние. От нее один шаг до желания самих непогрешимых просто уничтожить тех, кто им не нравится. Как они говорят, отменить. Давайте вдумаемся хотя бы в значение этого слова. Даже в самый разгар холодной войны, на пике противостояния систем, идеологии и военного соперничества, никому даже и в голову не приходило отрицать само существование культуры.
Let me just say something first. He's mad. And I don't mean angry. I mean, he's lost his mind. The things that he is saying is exactly what he's doing. Exactly. Denying culture, ideologies, abolishing.
Rewriting history.
Rewriting history.
Ignoring other nations, which is he was doing it different, involving his soldiers years to the wars, and now openly he goes against of Ukraine all the time, trying to emphasize there is no Ukraine, there were no Ukraine, there is no Ukrainians, there is no Ukrainian culture, there is no Ukrainian language. All of it is just mistake. Russia created this mistake, and Russia is fixing it now. And then you can change after the Ukraine. He may refer to the socialistic countries.
Socialistic, yeah.
Like Poland, Czech, and another.
Here's the deal. He made the statement,
he said, "Oh,
if you think you're infallible, you'll be destroyed." Well, he thinks he's infallible. It just makes no sense. But here's the deal. You tell me, and there may be, but there are not many places on media, whether on mainstream or social media, that will break down what he's saying. Most of the world, due to him speaking in Russian and not English, will have no clue what he has talked about. And then they will rely on the journalist of their nation in some type of summary, and they'll have no clue on his social meaning, his cultural meaning, and that's what we're trying to break down. We need the world to understand what this dictator is actually saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
I believe this is most important moment in this time period of history, where the biggest channels, mass media, has to use and take responsibility.
Agreed. Let's go to another clip.
And they will be,
Let's go to another clip. You're right.
В условиях жесткого конфликта, скажу прямо некоторые вещи, Россия, будучи самостоятельной, самобытной цивилизацией, никогда не считала и не считает себя врагом Запада. Американофобия, англофобия, франкофобия, германофобия – это такие же формы расизма, как русофобия и антисемитизм. Впрочем, как и любые проявления ксенофобии.
Russia had never looking at the West as to enemy. He's saying, okay, we need to make a partial mobilization because we fight with NATO in Ukraine.
And most of the world will not see what he said, and they'll see that little snip, but have no concept that that's nothing but lies. Let's go to the next one. It's here you go.
Способность начала повышаться. Мы пытались выстроить отношения и с ведущими странами Запада, и с НАТО.
Yeah, they're doing it non-stop.
How are they trying to build relationships with the West and NATO?
I have the question. I mean, I have thought about that.
Okay.
There is, when we use the term relationship, so when the criminal, killing someone, that short period, we can call it's as well relationship, but relationship between killer
and killing
an innocent person.
Yes.
So he's trying to build relationship with the West and NATO countries. His version of relationship, trading some countries, trading some territories, and having agreement on a high level, because this is the way Russia lives inside of their country. Everything is there. The heads deciding everything. People are nothing. And this is what kind of relationship he is trying to build with NATO. Yeah, okay.
Speaks for itself. We're just sharing the truth. Here you go. Next one.
Так и продолжается столетиями до сих пор. Но вот сегодня абсолютное большинство мирового сообщества как раз и требует демократии в международных делах. Не принимает любые формы авторитарного диктата отдельных стран или групп государств. Что это как не прямое применение принципов народовластия на...
Okay, one second. I'm going to play that one more time. Folks, make sure you're reading this. The translation is perfect. Please make sure you're reading this. Because
yes.
Let me preface this. Read it this time and pay attention. He just called himself a dictator and that he has a right to be a dictator. This is what he's saying. Check it out.
Так и продолжается столетиями до сих пор. Но вот сегодня абсолютное большинство мирового сообщества как раз и требует демократии в международных делах. Не принимает любые формы авторитарного диктата отдельных стран или групп государств. Что это как не прямое применение принципов народовластия на...
The floor is yours.
I don't know what to comment. I mean, he is. I mean, he said, "Hey, this world is wrong because this world looks that dictatorship is wrong.
Yeah. And
We need we need to fix this world because this dictatorship, and he is dictator, should be norm."
and the
And
guy out
this
there
is
in the audience,
and this is, hey, we were just talking about relationship. This is what kind of relationship he wants to build between dictator and democratic countries.
he says,
And
there should be a right to be a dictator and a right to control nations.
Mhm.
But I've been trying to be friends with the West forever, and I am saving Ukraine.
Mhm.
Last clip I'm going to show, and we'll shut it down because I could show 100 clips if Zolik would keep translating them. I just want the world to know that nothing that is happening in this world is the Kremlin's fault, and stop blaming the Kremlin.
Чего из России не исходит, это все происки Кремля. Но на себя-то посмотрите. Неужели мы такие всемогущие? Чего? Любая критика в адрес наших оппонентов, любая, воспринимается как происки Кремля, рука Кремля. Ну это бред какой-то. Да чего скатились-то? Ну хоть мозгами-то пошевелите, как-то поинтереснее что-нибудь изложите. Свою точку зрения изложите как-то концептуально. Нельзя же все сваливать на козни Кремля.
I'm going to be a dictator, and you can't blame the Kremlin. Use your brain.
Okay, I mean, I believe we need to restore our borders, to build a huge wall, to yes, and then to make a best possible condition and offer for NATO countries, at least to use our all the borderline close and on Ukrainian territory for the military trainings, for the military base, because of the security of Europe, security of the world.
Well, Zhenya, that was 3.5 hours today of him doing that. It was nonstop questions and answers. This is our points. Everybody's wrong. We're right. Stop blaming the Kremlin. We can be dictators. We've always wanted to be friends with the West. Tonight, we have shared with you 7 or 8 clips here of Putin. You get to feel it. You get to see it. You get to hear it. You get a little commentary from Zhenya and myself. You understand a little bit of the insight behind it. Now, one last time, compare what you've been listening to the last 15 or 20 minutes to this.
Добрий вечір. Бажаю здоров'я. Звернення моє буде трішки пізніше, бо робочий день ще не закінчився. Просто хотів на кілька секунд підтримати вас. Непростий день б'ють варвари по нашій енергетиці, але я впевнений, ми пройдемо цю темряву мужньо, гідно. Головне зберегти світло в своєму серці і в кожного.
Let the world decide for itself.
I think it's a challenging now, and for people who is trying to understand, to feel the pulse, what's going on, it's good to check the media and the channels, how they will observe this speech,
Yes.
if they, and this will show how much attention the world and this media and different countries are paying attention to this Putler's speech.
So far, what is pretty sad is it's just very minor references everywhere I'm looking. And that is why we've chosen tonight to share it. I mean, this is what unfolded today in Moscow. And what you just heard was basically President Zelensky's response. That's what it was. We're going to be brave. We're going to be dignified. We're going to let light shine in our hearts. Yes, he's encouraging the Ukrainians there who've had a tough day sitting in darkness and cold. No internet, no power. But we're going to fight on. We're going to be brave, and we're going to let the light shine. Great.
For the Russia,
great day. Yeah.
For the Russia, if they will leave Ukraine and will not control anymore any part of Ukraine, for them it will start a new period of time, new age for them.
Correct.
Of being real, not manipulating of one of the countries which is big, and for them it's a symbol. If Ukrainians will become strong and free, Russian people with time will decide, okay, we don't want to have dictator over us. And for them, having Ukraine free without control of Russia, it means having no power, the same level and dictatorship they had in Russia. So for them, it's the question of surviving. Like,
well, we thought that Gorbachev in 1990 and 91, this era was coming. The Cold War was being over, but this has been brewing for 40 years, 30 and 40 years, and we're seeing it unfold. And you're right. Here is a Ukrainian sitting here tonight, and as I understood you, you're wishing the Russian people well. Leave our country, and you know what? Take care of your own country, and you can have peace, and you can have freedom, and you can have all the things that we're fighting for. And you don't have to live under this madness that you listened to for 3.5 hours today. So it was a great statement.
All the time, Putin making this statement that Russia is independent. Russia is independent. We have everything inside of our country. We can live without anyone. So please live without any other countries. Stop sucking the blood from other countries.
Great point. Thank you, buddy.
Leave other territories. And Russia as a nation has to realize it. The future is only to live in reality.
Well, that speech today was not reality. And I think you said it 5-10 minutes ago that this could be a bigger day in the war than we think. There was a lot said in 3.5 hours today. So we shall see. We've done our best to share some of it, and hopefully you guys have gained value from getting a little bit of the truth of what really happened in Moscow today. So thanks, my friend.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Until tomorrow, I wish your lights to stay on, your power to stay on, your internet to work, your heat to work. And maybe if you need a little snack, midnight snack, early morning snack, you better go cook while you got a little power. All right, buddy. Hey, rest well. We'll holler at you tomorrow. Good night to all.
To all, a good night.